introduction of human reproduction, and we studied different parts of the male reproductive system along with their functions. So, let us quickly recall the male reproductive system. Well, the male reproductive system primarily consists of a pair of testes and its accessory ducts and glands. All these male reproductive organs function to produce and nourish the male gamete, which is the sperm, along with the secretion of the male hormones. So students, now we will get a detailed understanding of the female reproductive system. Well, the question here is, what are the parts of the female reproductive system and where are they located? The female reproductive system primarily consists of the following organs: a pair of ovaries, a pair of oviducts, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia. All of them are located in the pelvic region. And one more integral part of the female reproductive system is the pair of mammary glands, located in the thoracic region. Here, let me tell you that broadly these organs are engaged in the production of ovum, which is the female gamete, accompanied by the process of ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, birth, and neonatal nourishment. Do you remember we studied that events of reproduction includes production of gametes, fertilization, gestation, etc. So I think that you are able to reconnect, right? Female reproductive system plays a very important role in the process of reproduction. Students, now we will understand each organ of the female reproductive system in detail. Firstly, let us discuss about the ovaries. So, the first question that strikes here is that, are ovaries similar to the male counterpart, which is testes? Yes, ovaries are the female gonads that produce the female gamete, that is the ovum. But there are remarkable differences in their structures. There is one pair of ovaries in each female body, located on each side of the lower abdomen, and its size is similar to a grape, measuring 2 to 4 centimeters in length. Now, if we have a look at the internal structure, the internal cavity of the ovary, called the ovarian stroma, is covered by a thin lining of epithelial cells. You must be thinking, what is ovarian stroma? Well, it is a network of connective tissues which help in binding other structures, and it is enriched with blood vessels, cells, and several hundred follicles. The stroma consists of two zones, namely the peripheral cortex and the inner medulla. Students, do you remember what was the process of sperm formation in males called? Yes, you guessed it right. The process of sperm formation in males is called spermatogenesis. Similarly, in females, the production of ovum takes place inside the ovary, and the process is called oogenesis. Now, let us discuss the second organ of the female reproductive system, that is the oviducts or the fallopian tubes. Fallopian tubes are J-shaped tubes, which are also known as uterine tubes. Now, the question here is that, if ovaries can produce the female gametes, then why these extra tubes are required? So students, let me tell you that these tubes help in the transfer and transport of the ovum from the ovary to the uterus. It is a very interesting fact that the inside of the fallopian tube is ciliated, and the ovum travels with the help of peristaltic movements. On its way to the uterus, the ovum is also nourished with the help of some secretory cells inside the tube. So, now let us have a closer look at the different parts of this tube, or the oviduct. It is divided into three parts, namely infundibulum, ampulla, and isthmus. Firstly, we will look at the infundibulum. It is a funnel-shaped opening located near the ovary, and its main function is the collection of ovum from the ovary. Do you know how it collects the ovum? Well, it has some finger-like projections at both of its edges, and these projections capture the ovum from the ovary. The second part of the fallopian tube is the ampulla. Ampulla is the wider part of the fallopian tube, and this is the part where fertilization of the male and female gametes takes place. Students, now you must have understood fertilization, which is the second step of reproduction after gametogenesis, takes place in the ampulla of the female reproductive system. And now let us move on to the last part of the fallopian tube, that is isthmus. It is the narrow section of the tube which connects the ampulla with the cavity of uterus. We learnt about ovaries and oviducts, or the fallopian tubes. Coming back to the main organs of the female reproductive system, the third important organ is the uterus. In a female body, the uterus is also called the womb, and its shape resembles an inverted pear. If we talk about its location, the uterus is located in the pelvis, behind the urinary bladder, and it performs several vital functions in the human female. But before studying the function of uterus, let us understand its structure. The wall of the uterus is comprised of three layers of tissue. The outermost thin layer is called perimetrium. The middle layer of smooth muscles is called the myometrium, and the innermost layer, which is glandular and lines the cavity of the uterus, is called the endometrium. Now you must be thinking, what is the need for three distinct layers, and what is the importance of these layers, right? Okay, let me tell you the importance of these walls of the uterus. The endometrium undergoes periodic change during the menstrual cycle, while the myometrium facilitates childbirth by contracting its smooth muscles. Another interesting fact is that in the abdomen, uterus is held in position by muscles, ligaments, and fibrous tissues. The uterus is joined to the vagina by the cervix, that is also called the neck of the womb. Now you must be thinking, being so small in size and simple in structure, what are the functions performed by this uterus? Yes, the uterus is involved in several vital functions. Some of them are implantation of the fertilized ovum with the wall of the uterus, nourishment of developing embryo in the womb, providing structural integrity and support to the bladder, bowel, and pelvic bones. You will be surprised to know that uterus attains its maximum size till childbirth, and after that it starts contracting to its normal size, but continues its normal functioning at every stage. So, here is a fun fact for you. Uterus is like an elastic organ in females, which is usually 3 inches long, but in a later stage of pregnancy, it gets stretched up to the ribs. Now we will discuss about cervix and vagina. These are located in the lowermost part of the uterus. Both these organs are very important in the periodic reproductive cycle as well as in childbirth. Do you know, during childbirth, the cervix dilates and facilitates the movement of the fetus. Now let us talk about the external genitalia in human female. External genitalia has three components. First is the mons pubis, which is a fatty tissue covered by skin. Second is labia majora, which surrounds the vaginal opening. And the third one is labia minora, which is located under the labia majora. Apart from these components, there is a finger-like structure near the urethral opening, which is known as clitoris. Are you aware of the term hymen, which is present in the female reproductive tract? Well, yes. It is a thin piece of skin that covers the vagina and often gets broken during extensive sports activities or coitus or intercourse. Lastly, we will discuss about the mammary glands. You must be thinking, if mammary glands are an important part of the female reproductive system, then why its location is different from the other organs? Think about it. Students, let me tell you that mammary glands are characteristic of all female mammals. Since they are not directly involved in reproduction but are accessory organs to help in the nourishment of child after birth, secretion of milk is controlled by hormonal balance of the reproductive organs. Thus, mammary glands are not located close to the main reproductive organs. Now let us have a detailed look at its structure. There is a pair of mammary glands in the human female. Each of them consists of glandular tissues and some amount of fat. Inside the glandular tissue, there are around 15 to 20 mammary lobes with a cluster of cells known as alveoli. Here, let me tell you that these alveoli are different from the alveoli present in lungs, which act as air balloons. Alveoli of the mammary glands are involved in secretion of milk. So don't get confused. Can you think about the function of these structures? So, here is a surprising fact for you. After childbirth, the secretion of milk takes place in the alveoli of the mammary gland in response to the uterine signals. Milk is stored in the cavity of alveoli. The alveoli lead to the mammary tubules and these tubules join to form the mammary duct. A wider mammary ampulla is formed by joining of these ducts and then connected to the lactiferous duct, through which milk is sucked out by the child. So students, here are some fun facts for you related to the female reproductive system. In contrast to the sperms, which are the smallest cell in human males, ovum is the largest cell in the human female body, which measures about 120 millimeter in diameter. When a female child is born, the ovary has approximately 1 to 2 million eggs, but only 3 lakh eggs are present at puberty. The average lifespan of ova is 12 to 24 hours, while that of sperm is 36 hours. The fallopian tube is as wide as a sewing needle. Inside the womb, the body of the baby is covered by a thin layer of hair that disappears at childbirth. Several bacteria reside around the vagina, which helps in the protection of female reproductive tract from external infections. Students, now we are well aware of the detailed structure of the male and female reproductive system and their functions. In our next module, we will get to know about the process of formation of gametes in males and in females, which is called gametogenesis.